A big shift coming this week across Europe with some cooler weather moving in, even some bigger storms. Thank you for joining me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. Now we take a look at this yesterday from southern France. This sent in by Melissa. Thank you for the video, Melissa. Wildfires breaking out, dangerous on some of the roads. Melissa was safe, but the wildfires, of course, most wildfires are started by accident, some by lightning strikes, a lot by human activity. With that said, the heat and the dryness has been adding to this. I'll monitor that fire threat as we go throughout much of Europe. Turkey, we've had some bigger fires, parts of Greece over the last couple weeks. That's something I'll stay on top of for you. Now I want to show you the big shift headed our way. Here's the setup over by Iceland. We have a big spin here. There's another little spin sitting over toward Russia. In between, the heat has really been building. That's why a lot of us were so hot as we went through the weekend. But as the week goes on, this big spin here is going to change the pattern. That is finally going to move in. Now what's been going on is we've had that heat dome that's been in place. High pressure has been locked in right over Denmark and the Netherlands. That's been keeping some of us on the dry side and helping to keep that heat that has been so locked in with that big area of high pressure right over much of Europe. Now with that said, this will finally kick in. So this area of high pressure will break down, eventually move away. And as we go throughout the week, this spin is going to work in, and then we'll see the winds changing. Winds will turn more out of the northeast, and that will knock down the temperatures as we go throughout the week ahead. Let's get right to that and show you the big change. London, for example, by tomorrow will be around 33 degrees, right? It is still going to be hot the next couple of days. Wednesday, the heat will break. Look at Thursday, right around 24 degrees. So a big change coming in once this front sweeps by. That's just one sample. Let's swing here, Amsterdam, for the high temperatures. 34 degrees tomorrow, hot today. 34 degrees tomorrow on the hot side. By Thursday, we're down to 21. So you can see some of the changes that are about to move our way. This is the big shift we're going to see. Let's swing over toward Paris, pushing 40 for tomorrow. It is going to be super hot. Parts of Spain, over toward France, we're near 40, 41 in some spots. We'll be around 27 degrees on Thursday. So there's the change that will be sliding our way throughout the week. And you can see it here. We have that dip in the jet stream just off toward the west of Ireland, Northern Ireland, and over towards Scotland. With that dip there, that allows that big surge, that southerly flow to be in place and give us the heat. But as that week goes on, that dip in the jet stream kind of flattens out. We don't have that big ridge anymore, allowing that heat to build in. Everything kind of flattens out a little bit more. The storm track is more due west to east as we go throughout the week. So we see things kind of relax as far as the amplitude of the jet stream. Point being, it is not going to be as hot as the week goes on. You get a feel of that. See this kind of yellow shading down here? That's some of the slightly cooler weather, or at least for this time of year, I should say, not as hot, less hot weather that will be moving in. We have that heat that is really with us today over toward London, Edinburgh, even temperatures that will be soaring throughout the day. But then those numbers get knocked down as we get through the end of the week. You see more of these yellows. Now, no doubt southern sections still going to be hot. Romania, we swing back toward Albania, Greece on the hot side, Italy. But to the north, we get some of the cooler weather that starts to work in. Now, with that said, as we go throughout the week, you get the cool air meeting the hot air. That does mean we're going to get some storms that will be around. Let me show you that storm outlook later this week. By Wednesday, for example, here's Italy, and we swing back toward, here's France, here's Spain, just to orient you, Portugal over here. We get back through Munich, so we swing back through Germany. You see near parts of Switzerland, even Austria, and parts of southern Germany. We get back toward northern Italy. This red shading in here, Milan, Turn, for example, this red shading is just Corsica, is telling me there's a lot of lift in the atmosphere. We're going to see some storms that will fire up. I want to show you that and then show you the tropics in just a moment. Let's get a look at what's going on as we go throughout the week. Here's this spin over here. Here's the bigger spin near Iceland. That is going to drive in some showers near Scotland as we go throughout the day, watching Northern Ireland. Watching out for some of these storms, though, even today, popping up. Spain, some of those could be on the strong side. Northern, central, and southern Spain. Spain. Watching northern Italy for some stronger storms up toward Austria. But by Wednesday, you see moving through Norway, Finland, Sweden, this area moves in. We're going to get some cooler weather sliding in, but with that chance of some storms. Watching the Netherlands, Denmark, even over toward Latvia, Lithuania for some of the storms as the week goes on. By Friday, look at Poland. We're going to see some of those storms that will be moving in Czechia, down through Hungary, and then back through Austria. Some of these storms are going to be strong. Another shot of rain will be possible later this week through parts of Wales, back toward Scotland, parts of Ireland, Northern Ireland. But there are those storms that will be a possibility as the week goes on. Once that cooler air meets some of that very warm air. Now, I do want to swing to the tropics, the Atlantic Basin, because we will watch out for the remnants of systems as we go forward. Things are getting more active. This here is Flossie, about to become a hurricane, but this is on the eastern Pacific side. On the Atlantic Basin side, the Atlantic, Caribbean, and the Gulf. Barry was a brief tropical storm that moved into Mexico. Little spin that will be possible near the southeast coast of the United States. We'll keep an eye on that to see if any of that energy eventually down the road lifts up into the northern Atlantic. So there's been a couple named storms out there. Andrea was a brief tropical storm in the north central Atlantic for just basically a few hours and fell apart. Barry was that small tropical storm that moved into Mexico. The next name on the list is Chantal, and you see the list of names for the Atlantic Basin hurricane season as we go forward. Jaron, Karen, Lorenzo, Melissa, Nestor, Tanya, Van, Wendy, as that season goes on further. Now, as we get into July, which we're about to get into July, things crank up. Usually there's a couple named storms, but a lot of the action August, September into October, and then we'll watch out for some bigger wind makers as we get deeper into summer and into fall, even into winter for us across Europe. So temperatures are about to turn this week. That storm system will be moving in, right? That's going to change those temperatures, bring in some cooler weather for some of us. But with that said, stronger storms by the time we get into the middle of the week. Yes, there'll be some today, as I mentioned, over towards Spain, for example, parts of Italy. But as the week goes on, the storms will only get stronger in some spots, and that's what I'll be tracking as we go forward. So we've got that big shift headed our way. Keep me posted in the comments if you have any videos. Let me know any pictures. You can send those in. I'll put a link on how to do that, and I'll be able to pass those along as well. Thank you so much for being part of Mr. Weatherman Europe. I hope you have a wonderful start to the week.